19 of the internal map of reality. And we're going to be combining the overall concepts of three body centering. And the internal map of reality, of course, is dealing with balancing the spirit or your perception of who you are and what you think you are doing. So we will continue on. We did an introduction is what is a map, and then we took a break and discussed three body centering, and there'll be a link in the description on the three body centering, so you can go back and take a look at that. And but today we're going to now go back into the building blocks of your internal map. So we'll do our 1-minute meditation, and then a little discussion about what the map is. And we're going to be showing a previous clip, which is from session 2. And I have included the links. There's 3 components for session 2. I've included the links there, and we'll have a clip which is introducing modes of thinking. One of the things I find very interesting is that when you ask people what is thinking, they sometimes have great difficulty. And another example of this, if you walk up to someone who's sitting quietly by themselves and you look at them and you say, "What are you thinking about?" Quite often it will take them quite a while to formulate a response because their thoughts may be in words, but quite often their thoughts are not in words. They're experiencing something, they're seeing something, feeling something, tasting something, and they're involved in and translating the senses into words is kind of difficult because you have to then say, "Oh, well, I was, remembering when I was visiting such and such a location and the smells of the air and the feel of the soil on my bare feet." It takes a lot of work to translate into modes, into a specific mode, which is a speech. So we'll be introducing that. And I'm going to break this into 2 sections. I'm going to do the initial section today dealing with the basic modes. And then next week we'll go into how those modes expand when we deal with time. So let's do that now. We'll do our 1-minute meditation, and then we'll do our clip, Modes of Thinking, What is Thought? So enjoy your meditation, and we'll see you in a second. Okay, so what is thinking? The definition of consciousness is sometimes difficult to wrap my head around. I'd like to simplify it down to just the fact that if you are conscious, you are responding. And that actually is part of a clinical definition, is if the person responds. They'll ask questions if you're in an emergency setting. what's your name? What day is it? If you can respond. But you can take this even further, that on a bigger scale, that in life, things respond. If you take a hammer and hit a rock, the rock will break. It will respond. Everything has an element or a degree of consciousness to it. Many Aboriginal cultures believe that consciousness is in everything. I'm tending to feel that way, that you should respect everything because everything is part of your consciousness. Let's just dig into it a little bit deeper here. When we are conscious, we tend to believe that we are aware of something. So you can't respond to something that you are not conscious of. And this act of being conscious, what we've been saying, is an act of observing one of the six modes, or absorbing or participating in one of the six modes. And that is your conscious experience. When you are unconscious, then you are not participating. Now, there are many, many ways that we go unconscious. You can be driving in your car, and then at some point you realize that you've traveled many, many miles when you've gone past your favorite spot. But were you conscious, or you were driving, you didn't go off the road? So part of you was focused. So I like to think of consciousness as really your focus. So you're focused on something, and it's not that you're unaware of everything around you. You're still able to drive your car. You stop at the red lights. You put on your blinker to make a left-hand turn, that kind of thing. But you're not focused on it. And this is something we've been working on in our meditations, that you let your thoughts, your conscious thoughts, flow by. You remain focused on whatever you're doing. So thinking is really an interesting thing. So what we've been saying is that thinking is really processing one or all of the six modes. So when you're thinking, you are processing visual information, auditory information, kinesthetic, you're feeling something physically. You're either speaking or hearing, you're smelling or tasting. So you're doing one or more of those six things. I think it's important to point out is, in terms of this course, that is all that is considered thinking. Processing one of those six modes is all that thinking is. Where we get confused, when we create a frame and we process those six modes, we get a feeling, we get an emotional or mental shift. Some people think the mental shift or the mental state change is thinking. The mental state change, whether you're happy or sad or whatever, that's the result of processing the six modes. So you have a frame with the six modes, some or all of the six modes, and when you process that frame, it elicits a mental state change. That mental state change is an outcome. That's not thinking, that's a result of your thinking. It's the same thing for behavior. When you process a frame and you get very, very sleepy and you want to lay down and cuddle up to your teddy bear and go to sleep, that's a behavior. And that behavior is a result of looking at or processing a frame that makes you sleepy. So when you're looking at a frame and you have one or more of those six modes in it, there's some things that you can do when you examine the frame. And we've been doing this up till now, we just need to do more. The submodalities. So if you're looking at a frame and it has visual information, and say there is a light, the intensity of the light is a submodality, is a description of that light. The brightness of the light, even the location of the light, whether it's up on the right or the left or the bottom or the center of the frame. The location of whatever it is you're focused on in that frame is important. If it's something that's really up close to you and you're almost touching it, then you're a part of that frame. If what you're looking at is like a mountain far, far, far away and you see a little tiny object on it, then you are disassociated from that. And being associated and disassociated has to do with where things are located in the frame that you're observing. Movement. A frame can have movement in it, so it can be like a picture with stuff moving in it, or it can be a series of frames. And later on, we will be working with something very important called strategies, which is where we put sequences of frames together to motivate behavior for strategy. But for the time being, just be aware that when we're talking submodalities in a frame, we're looking at intensity, location, movement, descriptors, anything that gives you more information about that frame. Again, please make lots of notes. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me.